Mythology Guy.
Hello.
What is mythology?
Well, that is a question with a lot of answers, but I'll give you my personal take on it. Now, a lot of people think mythology means fake because we do use the word myth to just mean fake, and a lot of people just you. So a lot of people want to distinctualize like what's mythology and what's religion. Like religion should be separate because that's true, and mythology is what's not true. But the thing is, if you consider it that way, like you create all these weird gray areas because we definitely call Greek mythology,
Yeah.
but there's still a lot of people would be shocked to hear this. There's still people who believe that nowadays. I didn't even know this until I started my channel. I got all kinds of comments from people like, "Hey, I worship Aphrodite. Hey, I worship Ares." I was like, "Really? I didn't know that was still going on." But good for you. Um, like,
I know that term mythology kind of comes with like a slight sting because again the word myth. But the funny
yeah,
thing is it didn't used to be that way. I think the introduction of the word theology kind of upset a lot of people where you can have these like the podcasts and things like people discussing theology and they're majoritively discussing Christianity. And then somehow when it comes to like Hindu gods or Greek gods or Viking gods, everyone goes mythology and like, hey, I feel like you're kind of leaving us off. And like, this is some sort of a serious topic, and we're just this like fun things that you're leaving us off to. And I get that, but to me, I always look at that as under branch of mythology. For me, like I think even if you Google theology, you will end up saying like theology is like a study. If you do a university course, that is basically called theology. But like the mythology is the umbrella term that concludes all like religious stories from all sorts of ways.
so yeah, like obviously we're still going to call Greek mythology, and we're still going to call this and that mythology. So even though I'm Christian, I still call Christianity mythology. And okay, I'll stop burying the lead. I'll tell you what I mean by that. For me, mythology just refers to like widely spread beliefs, preferably cultural beliefs
Mm,
that exist as a way to explain certain natural that exist as a way to explain what cannot be explained,
mm.
basically, supernaturally, typically. Like
The
mythology gives us like literally ways to explain things that couldn't be explained. Back in the day, it was like, why does the sun rise? Why does it
mm.
get cold? Why does the wind blow? Where did this animal come from? Why is this animal doing that? And nowadays, you could make an argument like, well, we do have explanations for all that now because of science.
Hail science! Hail science!
I hear Neil deGrasse Tyson somewhere saying, "The God of the Gaps, the God of the Gaps."
Yeah, absolutely. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, they'd all have a lot of fun with that. But like I would say, like we still have things that cannot be explained. Like what happens after we die?
Mm.
Where did everything come from? Now, unless 100 years from now, someone's literally going to find a way to Zoom call into the afterlife, I don't know how good science is going to get. I mean, who knows? Maybe TMZ will have a picture of God on the toilet. I don't know, but
The
but
the
basically, it's
the weird thing
go ahead.
is that a lot of magic things that you see, they still do that like in Indian series where they're basically doing a Zoom call by magic. And I always say, why don't you just use the phone? Why are you still doing this?
Look, some people are set in their ways. But yeah, like basically I just see mythology as like widely believed supernatural phenomena and tales that exist to explain the unexplainable. And I think that's a good way of looking at it because like I think that applies to pretty much all of them. I have to say widely believed because sometimes there's just one crackpot on the internet being weird, and I'm not going to call what he says mythology. I'm just going to call that his fever dream.
One of the definitions that you really said that I actually, what I get off from what you're saying is that one, they are stories that are meant to explain the unexplainable. And again, this has to do with people's belief. Keeping that definition in mind, what do you think is the most important thing to consider if you're writing your own mythology for your fictional setting, whether it's a video game or a book or any sort of thing like that?
Okay. Well, My cop-out answer to that would be the most important thing is that it's interesting and fun. But I think like if we're gonna get like serious about it, the most important thing is there has to be a reason this mythology is there. Like, why would people believe this? What is it adding to their life? What is it explaining for them? Like, tying into what I said, like it's to explain the unexplainable. Like, what is it? What is it guiding them? Like, is it filling a hole for them? Like, you know, there's a lot of weird cults out there that like do really crazy stuff, but like if you look at the roots of a lot of this stuff and certain people who get a little too religious and do pretty crazy things, you look into how they got into it and you find they were filling a hole. Like sometimes a former addict will find religion, like, or someone who's done bad things and really needs to find a new path in life will find religion. I'm not trying to diss religion, by the way. I'm just saying it very often fills a hole, whether that's an explanation for something or whether that's to guide you in a certain way. I think the most interesting things in like mythologies that a lot of people have fun with is stories where it's like, hey, here's this weird crazy story where all this weird stuff happens to this one guy, but then at the very end it's like, and that's why squirrels collect nuts, and it's like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna end like that. But like I always think that's fun and interesting, and it shows you like where it was all going and like what it was all leading to. I just put up a video today that's all about how Ares cursed one of his soldiers for sleeping on the job and turned him into a chicken. And this is now the explanation for why roosters crow at the sun in order to make sure nobody sleeps on the job anymore.
Oh my God. That has to be the awesomest answer ever for why rooster wakes you up. Wake up before Ares curses you.
Quick! Don't end up like I did. So yeah, like I just think it's like the importance of like creating a fictional mythology is giving your people in this, I guess, fictional world a good reason why they believe in that and why they follow that, and what are they getting out of it, or what do they think they're getting out of it.
So the word that you're looking for is like it has to be fulfilling, and your cop-out answer is it has to be interesting. Again,
exactly.
Think about that rooster story. I mean, it is pretty bonkers, but it's interesting, really interesting. That also reminded me of a story where there's an explanation in the Ramayana on why squirrels have like 3 lines on that. I'm not really sure all squirrels have this, but like the local Indian one and also the Sri Lankan one, they have like 3 lines on their back. And one of the stories is that Raman basically picked up a squirrel and he just like drew his fingers through his body, and then it has like 3 lines basically, like the thing that we put, and that is the explanation. And I once remember telling that to one of my friends, and he was like, "That's nuts."
I'll take a pound of nuts. That's a lot of nuts.
You know, and if you want, I can give you a couple of examples. Like, for example, have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah.
Immortan Joe, like the leader of the bad guys, he was using a fictional religion that he probably created in order to give people hope in a time when there is no hope. Basically, it's the post-apocalypse. Nobody even has water, and it like, but he managed to like create this like these ideals and things for people to believe in at a time when they really needed that. Like his like war boys, the guys who are all painted white, they're jumping and just like offing themselves, constantly blowing themselves up to destroy the enemy. Why are they doing that? Because, and this is derived from Norse mythology, Immortan Joe told them they'll get into Valhalla if they do that. And it's like, yeah, I now have all these human explosives because I filled their heads with a bunch of bullcrap. It's like, you could just look at it and go, what a bunch of idiots. Or you could look at the context of what's going on and how desperate these people are for hope. And how, like, a smart guy was able to twist that and fuck it up. Like, there's even a similar story to that in the Book of Eli. This isn't a fictional mythology. This is it's using Christianity, but like the whole plot of that is the villain wants to get the Bible so that he can twist its words and control people, like during a post-apocalypse. Like, it's actually very similar. Also, there's in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, like like I'm getting into weird territory here, but the Emperor uses the mythos of Darth Plagueis the Wise to manipulate Anakin and give him hope that he can save his wife. Spoilers, I don't know. I assume we've all seen Star Wars, but yeah, like that's one of the most interesting moments in Star Wars. Everyone agrees. How many people quote the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Yeah. Basically, it can be used to fill a hole or give people hope or motivate people or add something to their life. And I think that's one thing that's really interesting about like mythologies, real and fictional.
There's something that you also touched upon in this, like where this is mainly for creating your own mythology, but I can feel like you could, if you want to like create an interesting story where, cult leaders, this also works because they often function with myths, like you said. Most cult leaders function like, I mean, even if you look at like even ideals, when you think about it, like very ideals that we use to create countries or any sort of thing like that, they all kind of are built upon some sort of myth. Whether it ends good or badly depends on where they take it. But when you think about like any sort of idea in general, it's fulfilling, it's hopeful, it's basically giving you a reason to go on or continue or explain it in a way you're on and off and off existential crisis that you go through life, basically.
Yeah.
But
like I think that the inherent human nature is we see God or gods as the light in the darkness. Like literally we don't have anything else. Like in the emptiness. Like it's what we go to for guidance. I mean, Christianity literally starts with "there was nothing, let there be light." All of a sudden, I swear I didn't do that on purpose, but I realized that as I was saying it. But like, yeah, it's what you turn to when you have nothing else. Quote from Jim Gaffigan: "When you lose your kid, even if you're not religious, you start talking to God right away. Like, God help! I can't find my child."
I mean, to like even like atheists, I would say, would go on like use "oh my God" in their life when they run across a situation, and they would probably scream at the skies, going, "Why are you doing this to me?" At some point.
Yeah, because there sometimes you just need someone to yell at.
Yeah.
Answer me!
Good plug in my brain to my next question is that different mythological models, like that always kind of fascinated me because like when you said like Christianity kind of really starts off with the creation myth, and again there's like God being an answer to the emptiness. But it's like Hindu mythology is kind of like a quirky, it's like a full circle. There was a universe before, or this was the first one. We don't know. Then Brahma created it, and then Shiva destroys it. And they're like, so where am I starting? I'm not really sure. Hinduism is a confusing religion, people.
I feel like Hinduism really embraces the "in 1,000 years none of this will matter" mentality, because everything's going to be destroyed and they'll just start over again.
Out with the old, in with the new.
Like, so you've actually run your head around like different sort of mythologies. Are they all kind of same, or are there like different models? Like, do you see like any different models from all the mythologies that you've run across?
I definitely do see different models. There's often similarities, and it's usually surprise, surprise when two countries that are close together, like usually they will have similarities in their mythologies. And you look at Mayan and Aztec, and you see literally the exact same gods with different names, like you Rome, and stuff like that. But there's definitely differences in the models and everything. Like, I don't think I have to explain the Greek pantheon and hierarchy. Like, I think everybody knows that one. But, for example, there's a lot of differences. Like, in the Norse pantheon, for one thing, their gods aren't actually immortal. One, they can be killed. Two, they can age. Like, they're only staying young because they're eating these magic apples that keep them young.
A wishing apple?
Some of the big differences in Norse also are the way their gods work. Like, I know we like to say god of death, god of war, god of this, but Norse mythology was more of a, like, we have the Aesir, It's
Yeah.
like a whole group of gods of war. And then we have the Veneer, which is like a whole group of gods of nature. And
Ah.
like even the goddess Hel, it doesn't specifically say she's like the god of death. It's just she was put in the underworld to reign over it. Like it's more, instead of like, obviously they associate their gods with certain things, but it's just like you would associate certain people with something things. Like Jim Carrey is not the god of comedy, but he's very associated with it. I think that's how we got to that point. And now to have Norse mythology fit in with the other mythologies better, we do say, oh, Tyr is the god of war, oh, Thor is the god of thunder, and all of that, which again are things they're associated with. But it was more like the Norse saw their gods more as like groups of people who were just badasses. Like, as far as I know, they were like, hey, like the Aesir are like that group of warrior guys who are insanely powerful, and the Veneer are that group of hippies they were at war with.
Finally, those hippies can be stopped.
Like those nature people who like are literally a whole separate group that literally have their own version of Valhalla called Folkvanger. Like they
Wow.
believed different regions had their own like groups and like all of that stuff. So it's really interesting how different that was. And then Egypt is a whole nother thing where like the pharaohs could be deified and their hierarchy was constantly changing because every time a pharaoh went to sleep, he'd be like, oh, I had a dream, and that means it's the way it is. It was so different. And then you have like the Aztecs and also the Hindus having this constant cycle of the earth is destroyed and then reborn every millennia or something like that. And like the Aztecs believe like there's a new set of gods every time this happens. And so it's like there's a lot of differences there. Like I find that very fascinating. And Hinduism is so different and has so much going on. It was the most challenging mythology for me to learn, and I still feel like I don't know 80% of it.
Congratulations. Now you feel like every Hindu that I know of as well.
Because they have this whole other thing of like the high trinity being way, way up there. And then under that, we've got like the gods led by Indra. And then under that, we've got another rank of gods. And then under that, we've got like even like the high trinity goes, no, we'll come down as humans but still be more powerful than the rest of you. Like we'll still be better than all of you.
And you can, and the plethora of like village deities, they are part. The Indian, all regions have their own village deities, and they say like this is like a some or avatar of like this big god, and that's like our way of explaining it. But most of the time, it's them like it's associated with them, so they create their own thing and then just like come out, because Hinduism does have allow room for added lore. I think it is well, forgive me for saying this, but what I'm trying to say is it's the most fan friendly version of any sort of mythology where you can add stories to it and you're like, we'll accept it, okay?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's so many different versions of Hinduism too. Like people argue in my comments a lot over what the definitive one is, but I don't think any of us know what the definitive one is. Like some people like will say no, there's all the gods are actually one god, but like in different aspects. Like some people say it's all Shiva, like it's all just Shiva, it's all different of Shiva. And then you've got the rival group that says no, they're all different versions of Vishnu, and those two like to fight. And then there's the other group that's like no, they're all their own distinct gods. It's all over the place. But then as for different mythologies, then of course there's Christianity where it's just like, no, we've got one, we're okay with one, we're good. Like we got to make do with what we have.
We fight over Jesus. He's one, but
exactly.
we fight over Jesus.
Yeah, that's the big argument. Like, is Jesus God? Is he the Son of God, or is he even real? Like,
I don't know.
If you're designing a god hierarchy, again, what would you like if you're doing this? If you're like creating your mythology, like what god or what sort of type of concept that you always put? Okay, this is how I would order it down. This is the pecking order will be.
well, I would want to do it a little differently. But I would really like to have it where it's like you have up in the heavens, you have these like heavenly gods, but then over down on earth, you have this group of war gods who are gods of each a different aspect of war. And like in the underworld, I think it would be fun to have all these different underworld gods, like of different forms of death and pain and all this other stuff. And then, have the ocean gods in the ocean, like, which, okay, maybe this isn't that unique. Technically, Poseidon does have Atlantis in Greek mythology, and Ares does have a group of war gods with him. I'm just realizing how unoriginal I am. but I guess like that is the result of like just how many different mythology religions I've been reading. Is like you basically do have to have like gods, like I said, to explain certain phenomena. You'd need there to be deities reigning over what causes those phenomena. And like what would people feel safe, like when there's a disaster, like there needs to be a god that reigns over a certain aspect so people can look to that god to like fix that problem, because that's what happened all the time in ancient times. Oh, there's a great windstorm, we better pray to Zeus or Aeolus. Or, oh, we're going into war, everybody pray to Ares and Athena real quick, depending on which section we're from. We're going out sailing, pray to Poseidon, pray to Pontus, pray to Thalassa.
I'm guessing like what you're trying to say is that you'll just have a bunch of gods, but like the pecking order would be really loosely defined.
The way I would want to make it different is like they don't necessarily all answer to the heavenly god, which is pretty much the norm in mythologies. Like the god up in the heavens is the one that the others all kind of have to listen to. But I would like to make it that like there's some sort of uneasy peace going on between maybe 4 or 6 different groups, like. And that I think that way it could be more interesting, because that way people could be like, well, I'm team war gods, no, I'm team water gods, I'm team underworld gods. We all know that would be the most popular one. Hell, look what I'm wearing.
You are goth.
People would love to do that. And I just think that would be a lot more fun for a fan base of like mythology. So if I made a mythology, that's how I would do it.
Again, most stories are built upon conflict. So if you want to have like conflicting stories, it's best that you have like different sort of tribals of gods where it's easy for you to actually make them, mesh up and fight and do interesting stories with it. So I think that's one model you can go for. But I also think, again, we are going to be taking from real mythologies to actually make this guide, because, like, again, we go off what we know of and the myths that we grew up on. But I think
nothing's ever going to be 100% original.
Yeah,
that's just impossible.
Even Einstein couldn't do it. How can we? The funny thing is, like, for me, for all the mythology, I think Warhammer kind of follow up on like Hinduism a little bit, where they made like their 4 gods, like they're evil, but they can be can be interpreted into a variety of other things. Like if you're like going to the gym, you're gonna be worshiping corn, unironically, if you don't even know. And that kind of goes in, like, if you look at Shiva, Shiva is a very good deity. He's by character, he's a very good person. But he is the god of destruction. The universe is not going to stop just because you prayed really hard. He does cover that aspect as well. So it's going to overlap. And I think that's what also Lovecraftian mythos did as well, where they just like, we can't really base it on a very personal level, because if we do that too much, it's going to rob the mystique of it. Because I think that's what kind of happened. I'm sorry, Greek followers and Viking gods followers, but what I'm saying, like, the reason why they felt more generic and they kind of feel like, oh, they're not the gods, I think that felt mainly because of these like petty conflicts of stories they're involved, where you go like, yeah, of course these beings are like not enlightening, but when you say Cthulhu and you're like, we don't know what Cthulhu wants, that's kind of scary and mystical. It's more kind of fascinating.
He's here to fuck shit up. Why? I don't know.
So I think you can be a bit on that. So like the advice that I would provide if you're doing, you can do both, where you can have like these like kind of petty gods. That's what Hinduism did with like Indras and the Asuras. They're petty gods. They have like disputes and they carry on doing these things. While Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu are like these Cthulian deities. No one really knows what the heck is going on with them. They're just even the stories that meant to teach to you morals, but in Shiva's interpretation, they are told as grand sports. So Shiva's basically playing with you in his mythic way, but he is still having fun with you. It teaches you morals, but again, we're not really sure on a sense, is this done for an actual purpose or are you just playing around? And if you look at Krishna and Vishnu, they're just playing around most of the time.
Krishna got everyone to start worshipping a mountain just to piss Indra off. Screw Indra, the mountain's better.
Everybody's picking on me.
From what you can take away, there's like three models. One is that like what the mythology guy said, where there's like different branches of gods where you can have good conflicts with them. But there's like a loosely baked hierarchy on like different teams. But again, it's more like teams. They kind of have an equal footing basis. That's why you can create an equal footing conflict. Other thing I would recommend is like have unknowable beings, which are basically like Shiva and Vishnu and these kind of big deities, where it's kind of like, it will work more or less like a Hinduism, where the humans will be most of the time finding how to interpret all the grand meaning is and all these stories is. You can have some stories of it, but I think it's leaving it more mystical aspect for your mythological religion would be nice. Or you can have a bit of both, where you involve like there are these teams of gods who are minor deities, and there's like this big three that's looming over them, where they're more mystical and they're really hard to find. You can throw one out there when there's like too much conflict going on. One there's okay, both need to stop. I think Mortal Kombat kind of does with the Elder God, but they kind of went crazy after the 10th game, so I don't really know what they're doing right now.
Yes, they did.
So
the Elder Gods are some of the most useless fictional deities in any like story. They don't do anything.
And they get killed on the 10th game. What?
Blame yourself for the Elder God's deaths, Raiden.
Well, I was just going to say, Mortal Kombat is terrible. So,
yeah, I played 9, 10, and I kind of lost track after 11. Sorry, guys. And again, mine is a potato PC as well.
That's fine. It is a bad game.
It's bad.
Bad.
Also, I do want to ask you this big question. Why are all mythologies are basically family disputes?
Well, the main reason for that is, like, story-wise, like, it's typically because, like, there's always, like, one big thing that starts it out, like Atum, or well, I guess there's the High Trinity in Hinduism, or, like chaos in Greek mythology or stuff like that. And from them come the other main gods. So they're always usually either siblings or close cousins or something like that. And if you want to have disputes in your mythology, like, having a dispute between a god and a human is just going to be, well, like nothing's going to happen. So if you want to have disputes between your gods, the way it's already been set up is like they're already family, so that's like kind of inevitable. But I think another one of the big reasons why it happens is everybody has a family, so we all kind of relate to that stuff. And hey, for all we know, the scholars who are writing these stories like are sitting in their like room writing, and then their wife comes in and starts yelling, "When you gonna get a real job? You know, your brother, he's got a better job than you." And he's just sitting there writing.
And then he smited his wife.
Yeah, like, you know, it's just like, because we've all had that. We've all had family disputes. If you haven't, you're lying. Like, we've all had like a problem in the family or a problem in some way, and it's one of the easiest themes to fall back on is the importance of family or the importance of love, and that appears a lot in mythology as well.
But do you think it cheapens it, or it is actually enriches it?
I think it cheapens it if you rely on the same cliche over and over again. I think it really enriches it when you like go deeper into it or like try to do something new with it. Like this is technically a myth-related movie, so I guess I'll bring it up. The first Shazam movie, one thing people really liked about that is, he was in a foster family, and the easy thing to do is make the foster family evil or something, but they didn't do that. They depicted the way a foster family would more likely be, and like people were very happy about that because they did the work to be more real about it. Like I think especially nowadays, if you're going to create like a fictional mythology, it would work a lot better if you would do something we haven't just already seen 500 times. I'm not saying you can't use like a similar story structure, but maybe change something up a little bit. Like we've all seen Zeus cheat on his wife 500 times. I don't know, maybe if you want to dive a little deeper into that or something, like why is the cheating happening? Is it just because he's trash, or is there something going on?
Joey's a sex addict.
It's not always necessary in mythology. Like not every mythical story is a family dispute. Some of it is like I go back to this story a lot, but there's the story of the death god in Hinduism, Yama or Dharmaraja walking with that woman while he has her husband's soul. There's no family dispute going on in that. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. This woman loves her husband so much and wants him back. And I like that it's just a simple, heartwarming story of just a woman and a god talking that ends with a happy ending. That one reason I love that story so much is it is so different. I don't see that a lot in mythology.
Maybe in Terry Pratchett, where death just has conversation.
Maybe, yeah.
Human beings make life so interesting.
I guess, yeah, like it just felt real, it felt relatable, and it felt nice. That's what I like about that story. So I would like to see more of that in like tales.
I would also like to get, because I didn't do a Hindu guy react video this time, but that's why we're doing this. But I'm gonna also gonna help you out with like the name of Yama. So basically, Yama's name is Yama Dharmaraja. So it's his full name. It's not two names, but it's basically it's just his full name.
Okay, thank you for that.
because the reason is that Yama is also known as the god of justice, because he's the god of death, so he's very just. So dharmam basically means justice, like fairness. Dharma means basically fairness. So he's Yama, the justice king. That's what the name kindly falls into. The reason why I actually asked this podcast, one, again, I know like some of the people actually want to create their own mythologies. The Mythology Guy also had these questions come about a lot of times. But I'm actually personally creating a mythology for the story that I'm writing. I could go use the Hindu gods, but hey, I don't want to piss a lot of people off. So I'm creating my own thing.
You're creating your own thing? Heretic!
Die, heretic!
that also will come up.
You're gonna piss. No matter what you do, someone will get mad.
Yes, but I don't want to be record of Ragnarok.
Yeah, of course.
So the next conversation, basically the questions that I'm struggling with when it comes to mythology and things like that, that's what's going to be asked about. But before we even get to that topic, I do want to address the fact that I have actually put out videos of the gods that I've created. And unfortunately, I am using AI art. The reason why I'm doing it is because I can't afford an artist, okay? Like those videos, I don't actually make. The only thing that actually made me like a few bucks is actually the Lion King videos. And again, that's not enough to actually, afford an artist to actually start this whole project. So I am using.
Trust me, I've employed several artists. If you want them to do good work, you pay them what they ask, and if you want to pay them what they ask, you need to make some good money.
Yeah. Again, I the stuff I'm doing, it will require a lot of work, and I know like it's at this point it's not able to do. But when I do, if this does become successful, I even made a promise in my first video where I will be able, if I can afford an artist, when it comes to that, I will definitely do so. And again, I do not want you guys to bring hate to the Mythology Guy for AI. He's not associated with this at all. Okay, he's just exploring this idea topic. But at this moment, that the videos that we're going to talk about have AI art used in them.
But I'll try to add a little bit of my own like insight to that. Like I know people don't like AI art, and I 100% understand why. By the way, but like keep in mind, people, it's like it's a placeholder right
Mm.
now. It's for until the man can afford an actual artist. Like it's something to fill in the void just so that things can build up. As a lot of you guys know, I'm making my own card game. When I first started making that card game, you think I had money for an artist? No, I was making it as a hobby and hoping eventually it would be something. Now, this was before AI art, so what I was using for the cards when we were playtesting them, it was shit I ripped from Google Images, stuff I didn't have the rights to. I stuck like a Google image of the Minotaur into a Yu-Gi-Oh card template, and then I, edited and made like the rules the way my game works. And I used those in order to test play the game so that I could see how it worked and see if the rules functioned and see if the cards were well balanced. Now here we are several years later, and thanks to all you beautiful people who watch my channel, I now can afford artists. And so I have hired artists, and you guys can see the completely original art that we have for the characters and for the card templates and everything on like my Instagram and my website and whatnot. But that all happened because I have beautiful people like you that bring me success and bring me like earnings from, Daddy Google. Like, if you want him to have original art, support him, help him out. Like, go watch all his videos with your ad block turned off. You guys get the idea. You get what I'm saying.
We need you to contribute to our fund.
So, so what is your opinion of the stories I made so far with the gods I've done?
Yeah, well, I liked what I saw, honestly. Like I liked how like you had that warrior society that has their two gods, and it got me a little excited, the idea of different kingdoms worshiping different gods and stuff like that. I thought that was a really cool idea. It actually reminded me a little of my idea where I have the different like groups of gods and everything. But yeah, I like the idea. I really love the idea of a war god couple, by the way. Just like get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know if I've seen that before, but that just sounds amazing. I did like the story of the like the god of heroes, like trying to get what he wants from the flower god, and then having to go and get all the handprints and everything. I thought that was a funny idea. And then when she's like, oh, but you didn't get one from the goddess of death, and then the reveal when he goes there to the goddess of death, like, oh dude, she's messing with you, like this is like my touch is not going to be a good thing. I was like, oh, I can't believe I didn't see that coming. God damn it. But like that was a cool reveal and everything. Like, so I think you've got good bones for your storytelling here. I think like this could really, I was not intending this pun. This could really blossom into something. I'm just thinking of the Flower Queen again. I did not mean to do that. And I liked how like your storytelling was feeling with like with the God of Heroes and everything. What I liked about it is it felt like with the society that felt like the humans, and like you've got like their relationship with the gods kind of established. And then with the other story, that felt more like some gods having their own stories going on and that kind of thing, which are two great things in like every mythology. Like I like when the gods have their own dynamics and their own stories, but then of course you get to the later stories and it's more about the people and how they work with the gods, because it handles all the different aspects. Like pretty much any book about Greek mythology, the first 7 chapters will be all about gods fighting gods or sleeping with gods. And then the later chapters are all about Perseus and Heracles and the people on the floor and what they're doing.
What I want to ask, like, I wanted to do kind of like the best. This is a fun game. Did you actually were able to guess, like, okay, what sort of real gods actually inspired these guys? Were you able to like get a whiff of that to the characters that you actually seen?
I mean, now feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but the God of Heroes reminded me of Lu from Celtic myth. Is there any truth to that, or?
I wish I was, but I have no idea of Celtic myth.
Okay, so I'm way off.
Okay, so it could be, again, I don't know Celtic mythology, but so if his name, so almost all of them have like Tamil names. So his name is Vetrivel, the god of heroes. Vetrivel is basically a term. It's a name, actually. People have those names, but it's a term that you go for, like a victory spear, which is what they refer to my favorite god, Murugan, the god of war in Hinduism, where his whole shtick is a spear, and anything Vale related is of association with him. So it's basically him, except blonde and Goldie, which is not Murugan, but he has a spear.
Yeah, it reminded me of Lu because in Celtic mythology, Lu is the god of light and also god of heroes. He's blonde and has long hair. He has both a sword and a spear. So I was like, oh, this reminds me a lot of Lu.
I'm gonna add that in the description because I didn't know that, but ironically it fits more because he's blonde.
Yeah.
But again, so as I'm doing this, again, the first thing I'm doing, the way I'm basing my mythology so far is that so kingdoms will have patron gods. Almost most kingdoms in my world will have patron gods, where they will pick their favorite god as their fulfilling concept, and they keep it to that, and they will always pick gods that are couples. Because they will, like, in Hinduism, it's more of a Hindu idea than there needs to be balance, there needs to be harmony between any sort of powers. So with the favorite gods that you like, the god of a war couple, basically, like he's like the nasty war aspect of the whole thing, while she's more like, hey, what do you do with the spoils of war? You craft cool things with it, and that's what she does.
Yeah. I was just going to say that is so relevant, especially today, because I don't know if you know, there's this huge surge in women loving crafty stuff.
Oh,
like, yeah, like my girlfriend Wilda got into a lot of crafts recently, and I found out, like, I was looking at her algorithm, and there's all these different girls being like, yeah, I did a Play-Doh by numbers thing. I'm taking up sewing. I'm doing diamond paintings. It's not real diamonds, obviously. I'm doing like puzzles and all this other stuff. And I was like, when did this become such a big hit?
I'm an arts and crafts master.
So again, I did try to bring that aspect to it because, again, I need to explain the people through the gods, like you first said. It needs to fill a void. The kingdom Talvan god is what worships Sunday, the god of war, and then Anal, the goddess of fire and forges. So they need to they are a warrior culture who conquer, they're basically Tony Stark. They sell their armies to other people, and they just make profit out of war because they are from a very barren kingdom.
So a bunch of mercenaries, basically.
Yeah. So they need to explain their whole. So they thought, okay, they have a god, war god. He's not just a war god. He's an aspect of nature. War exists in all life. We must take profit of it because that's where the wife comes in.
I love the idea. I love the idea of a kingdom that is barren without its own resources. So their trade is literally just war.
Yeah.
Their trade is like, listen, we need food here. Go fight a war. Go sell some of our warriors.
We can't keep eating dragon meat. It's full of poison.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's wonderful.
Hey, original idea. Probably somebody else did it, but I'm original.
Oh, I'm sure it's out there, but I haven't seen it, so that's cool.
But one of the questions that I'm also personally struggling with, like as I'm creating these mythologies, is that the concept of good and evil. What is, in your opinion, is like the best way to base your concept of good and evil upon? Because most mythologies are moralistic stories.
Yeah, there are a lot of mythologies where like the villain like just wants power or is afraid of losing their power. Like, how many mythologies have there's a prophecy that you're going to lose what you have? Oh, I better start killing everyone then. like that's we have that in Hinduism, we have that in Christianity, we have that in Greek mythology. Like Christianity has one really messed up one where that one king had all those babies killed. It's like, Jesus Christ.
I'm now getting flashbacks to Prince of Egypt currently.
And that's not even the same king.
There's more.
Yeah, there's more. Like, we got, I don't know what's up with all the baby killing, but then we've got Greek mythology with the baby eating, which is a whole nother thing.
Did you just eat the baby?
I would say, yeah, it's very common and I suppose appropriate for like the villain to be the result of like some prophecy. I would say I'm tired of it though. I'm so tired of it.
Boring.
That also brings up the main point of like, was it fate or was it like choices? And Hinduism, it's never clear. In Hinduism, they always go by
Right.
like Vishnu sometimes blames people for making bad choices, but then he sometimes go, "Ah, that's just fate." Like he looks at Karna and basically say, "Yeah, you're a tragedy. It's just fate." And then he looks at the other guy and goes, "You made bad choices." And he's just like, "Which is it?"
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
One thing I personally enjoy, it's just something I've always kind of enjoyed, is when there's some force that you don't even necessarily know if it's evil. It's just like a force of nature. Like in Egyptian myth, there's the great serpent Apep. This is this giant celestial snake that wants to eat the sun. Why? I don't know. It just keeps trying to eat the sun, and every day they're like, "Will you f*** off? Stop it!"
That's right.
So I think it's kind of cool because you said earlier, like one thing that makes like Lovecraftian deities interesting is the mystery of them. Like we don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So I just think it could be kind of cool. I mean, like unpopular opinion, but I thought Stranger Things, I don't know if you watch this show, I thought it was more interesting when we didn't know why the shadow from the other realm was trying to invade our realm. Like then they explained it before, and I wasn't entirely happy with the explanation. I was like, I think I would have liked it better if you just kept it like there's some freaky shadow trying to kill us all, and we don't know why.
No, there is no why.
Because like with cosmic things like horror and things like that, I always go, I really want to know why, but I figure it's going to be disappointing no matter what you say because I don't trust you enough to make this really interesting.
This is exactly what I was going to say next, is like the explanation is always going to disappoint somebody because your imagination of why this is happening is always more interesting. And I think that could really play in well to mythology too, because like then you could have all these different cults that have different explanations for why this is happening. Like maybe like let's just create a straw man here. Maybe there's like some big evil that tries to destroy the earth every year, and you have like but every year the gods stop it. Well, maybe there's a cult that thinks that evil force is in the right actually, and the gods are bad for stopping it. Like, it's like, we don't know why it's here. It's probably trying to help us or something like that.
You actually touched upon a story that I'm like, the next story that the short I'm going to put out is actually, so Vetrivel's and Sunday's dad is basically the guy who stops the big evil that every so often, like 1,000 years, an eclipse happen, and then all heck breaks loose, and then he has to wake up and solve the problem. That's basically what is a short tease of it. I will put out the short when you guys can fully see it in detail. But one of the aspects that you put into it that I really liked, you thought, oh, there's a cult that thinks that's really a good idea. That thing should do whatever the heck it wants when it appears in the sky. It should definitely block out the sun.
Yeah, so I just think, for me personally, I like when a great source of evil is a little more open to interpretation. Like, if there's your question, like I like if it's not 100% clear why it's doing what it's doing, and it makes you wonder, it makes you question, like, why is it doing that? Like, what could be happening? I don't know. Like, there's a little bit of that in reality too. Like, even in like, you would think, the devil would be a very black and white thing, but we do have Satanism. We do have people who think he's actually in the right, and it's like, I've never gotten why that is.
I think it's mainly because of the Lucifer series, probably. I don't know.
Lucifer Morningstar.
Well, it was around before. I personally always thought it's just because some people like hate religion so much they want to go in the exact opposite direction.
Or they're just really into heavy metal. Hey, that guy's cool looking.
Maybe. I don't know.
But again, your morality is going to really play into your gods, definitely. I think this is what I did in my story. That's why I'm a bit unsure about it because, like, okay, so who are the good guys in your god stories? I'm like, should I define them as good? Would you define Zeus as a good guy? I'm not really sure.
Right? Like, and a lot of people, again, this is going off what the comments I see. A lot of people say they really like, polytheism or particularly Greek myth because they like how imperfect the gods are. Like they it makes them more interesting.
But I do want to touch upon mythologies that would just probably be one god. Like, have you seen like any sort of like fictional mythologies kind of having like the Christian type of thing where there's like a one big guy and the story basically revolves around him, or just like other minor things that are happening?
I'm trying to think of fictional mythologies that only have one god. It's actually very hard to think of one.
Yeah.
Why did my mind go to Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, where they have that one ape god Semos, like the first ape or something?
Minus Ape Lincoln came to my mind when you said that movie immediately.
Yeah, little Abraham Lincoln. As many problems as that movie has, I do remember actually going, oh, when it was revealed who Semos actually was in that movie.
Come on. Okay, let's go explain evolution to the monkeys.
I now realize the whole Imperium of Man in 40K is basically kind of like Christianity in a sense, where they say
it is actually, yeah. It's probably a critique. Like their god is the Emperor, right?
Yeah,
the Emperor
yeah.
protects. Like,
I mean, even
I don't
though
know a ton about it, but I know a little.
The whole thing is he's an atheist. The Emperor is an atheist. He wants none of it. But surprise, surprise, he becomes
they're not honoring that man properly.
Yeah.
Basically, he's Brian from Monty Python Life of Brian, where he's going around saying, listen, you don't need a god, and they're all going, so you're God.
It's basically that, because like again, just getting into 40K lore a bit, but basically one of his sons was a really hardcore Bible kid and wrote a religion around him, and then he punished him for that. Why did you do that? I hate religion.
What the hell are you doing?
But then
I'm not the Messiah.
but cut to 10,000 years later, and everyone just took that book, and this is what we're going to do the society on, because the Emperor's basically in a wheelchair, so we need to do something. And that's what they did. And guess what? The son came back and he said, like, I wrote that. And I said, well, we don't believe you. This is the Bible now.
Heresy. Yeah, like Warhammer literally has like all these like high priests and heresy, and you have to do penance if you're accused of heresy. There's definitely some Christian inspiration in there.
We have to do an episode on just Warhammer mythology alone, where we just talk about Warhammer.
At some point, I don't know a ton, but I know like they have Horus and Nurgle and all this crazy shit.
Yeah,
like
it's one of the most interesting, and so far I think one of the best Cthulhian type of mythology that they've actually built upon.
I think, like, in Game of Thrones, for example, they have a lot of different gods. Like, they have the old gods and the new, which they say all the goddamn time. Like,
I hear DC Universe.
If you actually look at, if you look into it, it's actually there's new gods in that too. Now that you mentioned, if you look into it, it's kind of cool, like how George built it. I believe it was like there's the warrior, the blacksmith, the stranger, the mother, the maiden, the crone, and stuff like that. But then he even goes into the like conflict of different religions, because like for example, the Bravosi have one god, the many-faced god Death, and the Iron Islands have like the drowned god who wants you to drown everybody. And then as Tyrion says, why are all the gods such C words? I can't say this on YouTube. But then there's like the the red woman has the Lord of Light. Like, she comes in and says, "You idiots believe in 7 gods. There's only one God, and he wants me to burn all of you." It's like, I suppose you could argue that in some ways is an adaptation of Christianity, because as
Burn the
shameful as it
heretics.
is, people did do that. People literally did that in the past. Like, literally, there's only one God. We're gonna have to burn all of you. Like, it's so amazing. Like, literally, God said, "Hey, can you not murder each other?" And they're like, "So burning is okay, right?" And he's like, "No, that's not what I said. What's wrong with you?"
Stop finding loopholes.
The faith-based power system. First, I gotta get my thoughts on it. I hate when they started doing the god's power level is basically how much followers they have. I hate that. I hate that. I hate it to a bone.
I hate it with a boundless, burning fury. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
And it doesn't make sense in a lot of religions, because it's like, if the gods created the humans, but all their power comes from faith, how did we start? What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah. and it really cheapens your mythology in a sense. I guess that's an interesting narrative sense, where there's like how you can kind of make it as an interpretation for how the old religions are dying. But I always hated that, because I think it draws a lot of the gods, the godhoodness, as they are more dependent on people. But I'm open to putting things like where you say, like, okay, the amount of followers does have an effect on their power level, where like some worship, they just gain importance a lot more. That I like, but then there's like no followers, they became mortal. I hate that. I hate that. I say
Exactly. I agree with you entirely on that. I think the right way to do it is to establish, like, no, they have their own power. Like, they're not powerless without humans, but like, there is more power to be had from faith and from prayer and all of that. Like, I kind of like the way Rick Riordan does it in his Trials of Apollo series. So, light spoiler for that. Some of the villains in that series are former Roman emperors who have like become deities. Ooh. And the way they did it was because they were worshipped so much by the people, they found a way to manipulate that faith and use it to make themselves become gods, and then they wanted to take over Olympus and all of that stuff. I think that can make for an interesting story. I mean, you could have a cult leader who knows everything he's saying is bullshit, but he's trying to get everyone in him so much, like basically the plot of Dune 2, I guess. Like, come worship me. And it was like, buddy, you're not the Messiah. I will be if you shut the hell up.
Beware the coming of Mr. Beans, the almighty god of algorithm.
Yeah, literally just manifesting immortality. It would be like, I think that could be cool.
Yeah, you can have an effect on it, but again, if you rely on it in my and also ours, from what we agree so far, is that it does cheapen gods as gods. So I think you should stop doing that, because it's been done to death. Like, any sort of mythology, urban mythology I think of is basically, oh, we're less powerful now because there's not a lot of people worshiping us. And
And again, like, a lot of the time they don't put any thought into it. Like, I hate that in Wrath of the Titans, where Zeus is like, if humans don't pray to us, we have no power. We will become mortal. We will die. The Titans are going to come back and take over. I'm like, what do you mean the Titans are going to come back and take over? No one's been praying to them for 2,000 years. How are they still alive? You broke your own damn logic.
I think maybe they could have done. I think this is maybe adding on to a terrible movie, but I'm gonna add on to it. Maybe they could have made it like, okay, the Titans don't need worship. They are actually the more core concept things of reality, where the gods basically overthrew them. They're like they're the demigod versions of them, actually. But then after they took over them, they just basically became so powerful with the faith-based system. That is something you can explore.
Yeah. like maybe there, I think there is a way to do that, right? The funny thing is, like, if the Titans are that powerful and the gods have no power without prayer, I'm just thinking, how did Zeus even beat Kronos in the first place? like, did he go and start his own little cult in secret, like, while he was a teenager or something?
Okay, guys, whenever I'm about to fight, ready to cheer me on, like cheerleaders, and give me a Z, give me an E.
I'm gonna need you to have faith, literally.
So
again, like, make the world make sense, Jesus Christ.
but we also need to address a point where, like a lot of real mythologies, some of your mythologies are not going to make sense. And
yeah,
I think that, again, as long as you don't break your world way too much, I think it's okay why it doesn't make sense in a lot of areas. Do you think you'd agree to that one?
I think it can work potentially. Just realize, in the age of the internet, if something doesn't make sense, everyone's gonna point it out. Like, just be ready for that if you're gonna play with that fire right there.
Because like I mean,
like back in the day, if something didn't make sense, like, they could probably just be like, that's because that's what those idiots down the street think. We know the real version of the story. But nowadays we all have access to, like, the same information, so it's a little harder to get away with that stuff.
One of the new series that I want to plug in that you did is, like, you address the controversy of, like, Ares taking over, like, Greek mythology, and that's like, okay, you should turn this into a series, like, address every internet controversy debate there is to mythology. And if you go to the Hindus, tell me who's good. Karna is good or bad. You're gonna be eaten alive.
Oh God! If I go to the Hindus, I'm gonna start World War III. Well, I'm glad you liked that video. There will be more of that. Don't worry.
Yeah, because, like, I am for this.
Yeah. I just got so tired of that argument. I was like, look, it's wrong. You're all being ridiculous.
It's because, like, in a sense, that's where your earlier point, I think, comes to point. This will, again, depend on your storytelling. Making it interesting more than believable, I think, is always the way to go. I think as more interesting as it is, people will suspend, because, like, that's why we like Batman versus Superman. We know Superman can kill him in like 5 seconds if he wants to. It's just the interesting part of it.
Yeah, like, you see the trailer for that and you just go, okay, how are you going to sell me on that? Yeah. No, you're right, though. Entertainment is what's most important, of course. Like, you want to suck people in. You want it to be interesting.
Again, we are doing this for fictional purposes. You're not actually, well, unless you're building a cult. This is not the video for you if you're building a cult. We're just doing fictional stories, people.
Please don't actually start a cult. Do not misuse this information.
Please don't. The two internet guys made me do it. But I do want to ask, like, what sort of fictional mythology did you actually come across that is your favorite, and why is that? Why do you think it's, again, because you, like, read all the real mythologies? What do you think you can go, like, oh, I can believe that. That's believable, interesting. What is the best in sort of fictional setting that you come across?
Oh, one of my favorites, it may be surprising, what is actually in the Aragon book series. I don't know if anybody here has read that, but Christopher Paolini created that series, and I grew up with it, like, really loving it. And he's got, like, a whole ancient language in there, kind of like how Tolkien like wrote languages. And he has, like, this whole fictional race called, what I really like about this book series is the humans in it have a religion with their own gods, but also the dwarves have a separate one with their own gods. And there's this fictional race of beasts called the Urgles, and they have their own religion with their own gods. One of my favorite parts of the Aragon books is there's a part where an Urgle sits down with the main character and tells him a story from their religion. And hearing it, I was like, this sounds straight out of, like, Greek mythology or something. This sounds like it could so easily fit in. And I liked it because it's not made clear in this universe like which ones are real. Like
Mm.
the main character goes to the dwarf kingdom and finds out they have a religion, and he's like, oh, I wonder why they believe this. And then later during like the dwarven crown ceremony, one of the gods briefly appears and crowns the king, and Aragorn's like, wait, what the hell was that? is that real? And I was like, oh, you might have to change religions.
I'm converting! Save us, almighty Ra!
I really liked that. It was I thought it was really well thought out. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will tell me, if you like that, you should read Tolkien's, like, Silmarillion. And you guys are probably right. I have been wanting to read that. But from what I've heard, it goes really in depth and detail with the, like, mythos he created. And I would love to learn more about that. But another one I do like is legitimately, I like Star Wars. I like the mystery of how the Force works and what has been revealed about it. Episode of Clone Wars where they go to a planet that's literally made of the Force.
Oh,
and there's
yes.
the father, the son, and the daughter. And I just wanted to know so much more about those three characters and like what they could do and everything. In fact, I thought that arc ended way too fast. I think it was only 3 episodes. It was like, bro,
Right?
this could be a whole season. What are you doing?
And then Bumpkins, and we're like, what? No,
Exactly.
more of this, more
I
of
wanted
this.
to know more.
Finally, it's not the midichlorians.
And the Force? Well, that's just microscopic bacteria in your bloodstream called midichlorians.
Look, if you're not going to take this seriously, I'm out.
I thought it was fascinating, and yeah, there's also an episode that shows Yoda going down the path of becoming a Force ghost, and there's some mythical stuff going on there. I was like, oh, this will be cool to know more about too, but it like ends there, and that was the original series finale. I was like, damn it, I want to know more about this too. Like, so I do like the mythos in Star Wars, and I really like the mythos in Aragon, and I want to know more about the mythos in Tolkien. The thing about Tolkien, though, is I know he based his heavily off of Norse, Finnish, and Christian religions. So, like, that is a bit like derivative of those, but it's still, I'm sure, very fascinating on its own. So yeah, those are the ones I got into. But I think mainly I get into the Star Wars one because it is so different, and I do like seeing something different.
Okay, and with that, I think the key takeaway from this whole podcast is that, one, again, with our definition of mythology, your mythology does have to, in a sense, fulfill a void, and then they have to be interesting. Otherwise, who's going to read them?
Of course.
And then the other point I would say, again, being mixed is always better with your morality system, leaving it a lot to interpretation. That is a good idea when you're doing your own mythology. And I would say, again, make it, you can have family stories, just don't repeat the cliches. Cliches are, I mean, one of my acting teachers actually told me this a long time ago. The reason why we do cliches is because cliches will work. But if you do them badly, it's going to be so obvious.
People are going to be way more annoyed if you rely on a cliche and it's not even fun.
Yeah. And that's why I hate the whole God needs followers thing. It's a cliche that has been done to death. But that is going to be our somewhat of a guide to you to create your own mythologies. I mean, this is more of into a lecture of like realizing of all mythology tropes in general. But again, it helped me out a lot because like this is a question that's floating around my head, especially with like the morality section and also, what sort of host that I need to like interpret things into my own stories. So again, thank you for Mythology Guy for joining me to do this one.
Happy to be here.
Go check out the Mythology Guy's channel by clicking the link below. He has tons of entertaining videos about mythology that will fill you with knowledge and a lot of joy. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts on creating fictional mythologies in the comments below. I would love to read them. And as always, I will see you all in the next video.
Bye.